So, to the surprise of nobody, they're already rubbing it into Caitlin Clark for not winning an NCAA title after Paige won it. Starting with Front Office Sports. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. And join us for Caitlin Clark's crossover. That's tonight from 6 to 7 and 5:30 to 6:30 on Thursdays. It's Eastern time except for major holidays. It's like a sports reporters type forum. Talk about Caitlin Clark and all sorts of good stuff. So, Rob, I knew this was coming, which is the only reason I was rooting against Paige Buecker, because I like Paige Buecker. And I think she kind of deserves a championship in a way. She was player of the year as a freshman. First person to ever do that. She went through 2 injuries. So I have nothing against her. This is not about Paige Buecker. Not about Paige Buecker. I think she'll be a great pro. This is an X column by Front Office Sports. Now, Front Office Sports is not a minor media. Front Office Sports is a big media. So I wouldn't have picked this up if it was like, just some random person that, had comment about Caitlin Clark not winning a championship, because all the Paige Buecker fans are already saying that. We'll get to that, but so Front Office Sports wasted no time posting this, Rob. 4 of the top 5 recruits from 2020 women's basketball recruiting class have now won national titles. Paige Buecker, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Camila Cardozo. The last one is Caitlin Clark. Well, she can't come back, Rob, so I guess that's not happening.
Oh, I like the picture they used for Reese.
That tells you the motivation behind this, Rob.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
I'm like, come on, you couldn't find him. I mean, everybody else's picture is fine, but with Reese, they had to put that one in there.
Someone said in the comments, "I wonder what race you are." So,
yeah, exactly. I wonder.
Who chose the ring one there? So
yeah.
Not surprisingly, Rob, the comments weren't not favorable towards this at all. Actually, they were very much Caitlin Clark, in favor of Caitlin Clark. And one person said, "Great class." Everyone except Reese.
What was that one up there? Who's that guy? Wait, the one. Keep going. Go down. Right there. Who's that guy?
That's my comment for this morning, Rob. So let's talk about this, Rob. This is Mark and Rob Sports Showdown. That's our logo, Rob.
Yeah.
I'll read it for you. CC was the only 2-time player of the year and the best. Her starting 5 was 1 4-star recruit and 3 3-star recruits for all 4 years. She had Warnock start for 3 years. That was a 4-star recruit. And Hannah Stokey started her senior year. All the other players that started in all 4 years were 3-star recruits for her. The other 4 players played with 3 5-star recruits and 1 4-star recruits on their championship team. Reese and Brink, or 2 each of 2 4-star recruits and 2 5-star recruits for their starting 5. And Connecticut. Go ahead,
Mark. This commenter, this guy who made the comment is very knowledgeable.
I know. I had to do some research to make sure it was right, because ChatGPT won't always give you the right answer. But I looked this up, and so that's what you're looking at. All right, so let's see. One person made a good comment. What I thought was funny. It said, "I'm sure the comment section will be level-headed." Imagine going to UConn for 4 years and only winning 1 natty. All right, so anyways, people made all sorts of comments in favor of Caitlin Clark, except for one person who said that Angel Reese was the only 5-star recruit at LSU. She didn't transfer into it. That's not true. There was 3 5-star recruits that started with her. They had 4 5-star recruits in their starting 5, Rob. People just make things up.
Right.
So anyway, just to see, they talked about how good the other programs were and all sorts of stuff. But
you know who recently is in Caitlin Clark's corner is your favorite is Dawn Staley. No, Dawn Staley. She made a good comment about her to ESPN. They're saying that I don't know why people are saying things that a championship matters to make a great player. She said that.
Did she say that before or after the game?
No, before they played.
She's nice to her now because she already kept her off the team. She was nice after they won. She just wasn't nice after she lost. She's not a good – she's a poor sport. Before Caitlin Clark came around, I mean, actually, people didn't debate women's college basketball players of all time much. Let's be honest about this. But they did in men's basketball. And in the men's basketball list, Rob, a title did not keep someone out of the top 5.
No.
So I looked at 8 lists. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won every list. Okay. 3-time player of the year. He would have been 4-time player of the year. His freshman team beat the varsity in the exhibition his freshman year.
Right.
He won 3 titles and he wore 88-2. Okay. He was the best player. Everybody knows he was the best player in college. In pros, he put him in the top 3 or whatever. I looked at the first 8 lists that came up on Google when I put greatest men's basketball players of all time. And guess what? Pete Maravich and Oscar Robinson. Pete Maravich was 3-time player of the year and led the country in scoring. And he didn't make the NCAA tournament. he played in the NIT and they lost in the semis. And the other time they didn't even play. Oscar Robinson, very interesting, Rob. 2-time player of the year. Made it to the Final Four twice. No championship. The next 2 years after he graduated, Cincinnati, Ohio won 2 championships after he graduated. It's never held against him. Guess what?
Right.
On these 8 lists that I looked at, Pete Maravich was between 2nd and 4th on all 8 lists. Oscar Robinson was between 2nd and 5th on all 8 lists. No championships, men's all-time greatest basketball players of all time. They both made the top 5 every time, Rob. Every time. But yet everyone's trying to keep Caitlin Clark off the top 5 or top 3 list of all time because she doesn't have a championship. They don't do that in men's, Rob, and they never did traditionally. And
well, there's people, there's probably people now jumping for joy. Not only that UConn won, but they're jumping for joy because now, like I said, they can't wait. They cannot wait to just say, like, aha, see, she has not won a championship. Paige Buecker is much better than Caitlin Clark.
They're saying that on X, Rob, and Paige Buecker's thing and UConn things, that she's better than her and Caitlin Clark is nothing. There's thing I couldn't stand reading them, so I didn't. Someone did a video on this. I saw them, and I just said I'm not even going to go over them. But they're saying it, and I knew they were going to say it, which is why I was rooting against Paige for that reason. I was rooting for her personally. I was just rooting for her because I didn't want to hear this because it upsets me. Now, Rob, these players also on the top 10, these other players I'm going to list right now, they all played 4 years in college, and they all consistently made the top 10 lists or top 15. Larry Bird, Jerry West, Bill Bradley, Elvin Hayes, Ralph Sampson, Elgin Baylor, and Patrick Ewing. Perhaps you've heard of them, Rob.
Maybe the Patrick Ewing guy. I don't know if I've heard of him.
Now, the following players all played 4 years in college except for Shaquille O'Neal. He played 3. And these 5 players never made the Final Four. Perhaps you heard of them. Tim Duncan, Len Bias, Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, and Steph Curry. Not held against them, Rob. They're all Steph Curry in the top 5, top 10, top 20, something like that.
Steph Curry rings a bell, Mark. Steph Curry rings a bell. I wonder if he did anything in the NBA after
No, Rob, no participation trophies. There's no participation trophies.
Oh, man.
Is a friend of the channel, Robin Lundberg. He's pretty famous, works for Sports Illustrated and things of that. He has his own channel. And he made a video, something related to this a couple of weeks ago. And this was his quote, which I thought was great. So I'm going to quote it exactly and give him credit. I don't think any basketball player has ever had a lack of a college ring be held against them as much as Caitlin Clark has. Exactly, Rob.
Yep.
There's an agenda here.
True to that.
Jamel Hill just came up with her list, Rob, after Fox had Caitlin Clark second. And guess what? Caitlin Clark didn't make the top 5. What a surprise.
Of course not.
7th, Rob. Only 7th. She doesn't have a championship.
She got no championship. Why should she make it, Mark? She ain't got no championship. Shame on her. Mark, shame on Caitlin Clark. I can't believe she didn't do that. Shame on her.
I don't know what to say. But you knew this was coming. So you're going to hear get this for the next year, maybe for the next 20 years, whatever. Caitlin Clark, hasn't won a championship in high school, which guess what? I never heard about high school championships mattering before either, Rob, until now.
Oh, well, of course they do, Mark. Yeah, because it's Caitlin Clark. I mean, the other players,
So I want to get this straight. High school championships count, but Big Ten tourney championships, which she won 3 in a row, and she was MVP all 3 years in a row. And U.S. national team, she won 3 gold medals, and she was MVP for the last one. Those don't count. None of those count. The high school championships do.
So she won Big Ten championships, but that doesn't count, Mark. That's
3 in a row, Rob. It's MVP all 3 years too.
That's not a real championship, though, Mark. We want, championship. There's the different definition,
A high school state championship. I never knew that was such a big deal before now. See, Angel Reese won like 3 in a row, so she gets, they gotta push that in your face right there.
It's never gonna stop, Mark. Never gonna stop.
No. And this is what I knew this was coming. As soon as I saw them pull away in the end of the third quarter, I said, all right, yep. I know what X is going to look like tomorrow. There's nothing about Paige. I'm happy for Paige. Yes. I'm only rooting against her because I didn't want to hear this the next day. And you know what? She's going to be a great pro. She's a good person. Nothing against Paige. Great all-around player. Nothing bad to say about her, except for the UConn Mafia are really going to have fun with this. But
yeah.
It was much better but guess what, Rob? Gino moved the goalpost back for us about, was it a month ago or 6 weeks ago? When he talked about how great, like UConn was struggling and it looked like they weren't going to win the national title. And he started talking about, well, what does she contribute? How many great All-Americans did she play with? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, it's what she contributed. And that's.
Yeah, he said straight out. And people were like looking at him like, he said, I don't think we have our team is not that good. We're not going to win the championship.
And notice when he said that, there was no pushback from the UConn fans.
Right.
Seriously, there was no pushback when he said, if she doesn't win a title, they weren't saying, no, she's not one of the all-time greats.
Nope, not at all.
And to me, she is, because she won as a freshman. And she was 3-time first-team All-American, Rob. Out of the 3 years that she had played the full season, she was first-team All-American all 3 years. So to me, she is an all-time great. But the difference is, Rob, is Caitlin Clark, to me, is a top 3 player of all time, along with Brianna Stewart and Cheryl Miller. And you can put them in whatever order you want. I would put Caitlin Clark first. I think that Paige is wouldn't make my top 10, but she'd probably make, she'd make honorable mention. That's the difference between the two, but that's not the way the UConn fans are going to see that. That's just another UConn person they want to put in the top 10, Rob.
Got to put it in there. Ding.
That's a UConn fan, Rob, saying what their top 10 list is. Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Super, Rebecca Lobo, Tina Charles, Paige Buecker. And then they get to Cheryl Miller, Brittany Griner, and Cheryl Swoops, and they don't put Caitlin Clark on it. But here's the real answer, Rob, and I'll show you real quick what my list is. And it's by people who know basketball, who have no connection with UConn or Tennessee, and maybe are a Caitlin Clark fan. And that's what I think is the order, Rob. Caitlin Clark, Cheryl Miller, Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore, Candace Parker, Brittany Griner, Cheryl Swoops, Diana Taurasi, who I think is overrated, and Shamika Holdclaw and Nancy Lieberman. I have 15 honorable mentions and Paige Buecker's in there. And by the way, Nancy Lieberman, Rob, most people don't know. We know about her because we saw her in the 1976 Olympics. Yep. Only won a silver medal, unfortunately. But she was a 2-time National Player of the Year and also led her team to 2 national championships. And it wasn't a stacked team either. So she was number 10. Anyways, all right, so this isn't going to end. They're going to make up things, too, about, who they did. But guess what? They all play with 5-star recruits, and Caitlin Clark didn't. And I think what she did by dragging those 2 teams to the national finals, Rob, was more impressive than that. Because when Brianna Stewart won, Rob, they didn't have a game that was closer than 10 points in all 24 games that she played in the NCAA tournament. Not one game closer to 10 points. That was against a stacked Notre Dame team that 3 players went to the WNBA.
Yep, pretty impressive.
So I could have been the 5th person on those teams. And they would have won the championship.
You would get your 2 minutes in there, Mark.
I would have got my 2 minutes at the end of the game, but they could have won. They could have won those without Brianna Stewart. The next 2 years, they lost in overtime 2 years in a row without her. in the semifinals, in the finals. They lost in overtime 2 years in a row. So I don't know. But Diana Taurasi won 3 by herself.
Yeah.
So we know that because she said it. When I won 3 championships.
By myself. Yeah.
All right. So let's know what you think down below. If you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you knew this was coming. And I figured I'd share it with you. All right. All right. Let's know what you think. Feel free to share this with your family, friends, and acquaintances. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make Rob happy. Hit that notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. And join us for our live show tonight from 6 to 7, Caitlin Clark's Crossover. And there's also 5:30, 6:30 on Thursdays. It's like a forum. Podcasters type come in, and it's like sports report. It's really cool. It's a part of our live show. Eastern time, except for major holidays. And if you want, you can donate to this channel with super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. We'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.